Vladimir Putin bailing on in-person peace talks in Turkey as the world awaits the results of a high-stakes meeting that might not even happen. Right now, a Russian delegation is in Istanbul for peace talks after Ukrainian President Zelenskyy challenged Putin to join, aiming to end the war. Since Putin didn't show, Zelenskyy is expected to meet with top Kremlin officials instead tomorrow, who say their goal is to reach the establishment of long-term peace. But President Trump's not too optimistic, telling reporters on Air Force One that nothing's going to happen until he's the one to meet with Putin. But the Kremlin says there's no plans for that anytime soon. Here's what our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, told the press.
I want to be frank. I don't think we don't have high expectations of what will happen tomorrow. At this point, I think it's abundantly clear that the only way we're going to have a breakthrough here is between President Trump and President Putin. It's going to require that level of engagement to have a breakthrough in this matter.
Our chief international correspondent, Ian Pannell, is there in Istanbul. So the Kremlin is now saying there's no plans for a Trump-Putin meeting in the coming days. But why is Putin not meeting with Zelenskyy? He said he wants to end the war, right? Why not show face?
Yeah, I think many people are asking that very same question. We spent the entire day going, will he, won't he? Well, he won't. He won't be coming here. Certainly not now. He sent a relatively mid-level delegation here to Istanbul. They've been holding a number of meetings today, but not with the Ukrainians. The senior Ukrainian delegation went with President Zelenskyy to Ankara, the Turkish capital, where they met with President Erdogan and had serious talks there. The talks with President Erdogan went on for more than 2.5 hours. But we are expecting the Ukrainian delegation to come here. But I think there are real questions about how serious Russia is about these talks, given the delegation that they've taken. The optimist would say, well, any kind of conversation, any kind of talks will be good. The pessimist would say this is Russia stalling once again.
How important is foreign intervention here, you think, and not just from the U.S.?
I think U.S. intervention is absolutely key. I think certainly the role of President Trump, you heard Marco Rubio say it, President Trump also acknowledged it, saying that, you know, until he talks with Putin, then it seems that Russia won't get serious about this. You know, you've got a lot of diplomatic gamesmanship going on here. You have Russia basically wanting to just deal directly with the United States. Obviously, Ukraine wants to deal with the US rather than with Russia. But the reality on the ground is, unless they get together and talk about terms for a ceasefire, then nothing will really take place. But President Trump and President Erdogan are absolutely pivotal. It seems that President Erdogan has now become this peacemaker, if you like, the honest broker between the two sides. But what President Trump says and does really matters. President Trump had floated the idea of potentially coming here on Friday. I don't think that's going to happen, but he still hasn't totally ruled it out.
Well, do you think this meeting will get Russia and Ukraine closer to a deal, or is the administration right when they say nothing's going to happen until Trump meets with Putin?
I suspect the latter. It depends, because even at the moment, you're seeing both sides say, OK, we'll sit down and talk. But talk about what? And when you look at the details, they want to talk about very different things. The Ukrainian side wants to talk about this plan for a 30-day ceasefire. The Russian side wants to talk, in some senses, about a longer-term settlement, but the root causes of the conflict, which, according to Russia, Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, was talking about this again today. According to Russia, these are the denazification, the demilitarization of Ukraine. These seem like non-starter ideas. They were mentioned by Vladimir Putin right at the very start of the war, and unless they're willing to give ground, it's hard to see how you reach any kind of settlement. So, you know, you would struggle to be optimistic that this is the start of a lasting process, but we're going to have to wait and see.
Ian Pannell, sure appreciate your reporting from Istanbul there.